Hi everybody and welcome back to the food blog. Today we're going to be making jalebi. The ingredients that we will need to make jalebi are 1 cup of all-purpose flour, turmeric as needed, 1/3 of a cup of curd or yogurt, 2/3 of a cup of water, which I would recommend separating into 1/3 of a cup and 1/3 of a cup because you will be needing to use water in 2 separate places, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, cardamom as desired, and 1 cup of sugar. This recipe was inspired by Swasti's recipes. Click the link in the description below for the original recipe. The first thing that we will need to do to make jalebis is to prep our ingredients. So we're starting out by getting our all-purpose flour and then getting our curd. After that, I've gotten my water and I've separated that into 1/3 and 1/3 like I recommended before. Here's the rest of the water. I've also prepped all my other ingredients. The first step is to combine the flour and turmeric, and you want to add enough turmeric so that the mixture of flour and turmeric becomes a pale yellow. In the video it is harder to see, but at the end my mixture had become a very pale yellow. The second step is to combine the flour and turmeric mixture with the yogurt, bit by bit until a pale orange dough forms. This will become very much like a dough that you would use to make bread, or anything else that you would normally need, but we're not going to be needing in this case. Instead, we're going to be whisking the mixture with 1/3 of a cup of water until a thick batter is formed. At first, it will feel like the dough is breaking apart and floating in the water, but after whisking it, it will become a batter. Next, you have to boil the remaining water with the sugar until the sugar dissolves. This is a very long process. It will take about 15 to 20 minutes, and you have to be really patient with it to make sure that the sugar completely dissolves. At the end, it will look like this and will have swirls in it. Then, turn off the heat and keep stirring until it becomes bubbly and thick. It's very important that you turn off the heat right when the sugar dissolves, because if you turn off the heat too late, it will become very hard after cooling down. If you do leave it for too long and it becomes too hard, you can always add more water and boil it again. After this, mix in the cardamom powder, and you can see that after you mix it in and let it rest, the sugar syrup rises and thickens, and you want to mix it immediately after this happens so that it does not become too hard. This is how it should look at the end. After this, spoon 3/4 of the batter into a Ziploc bag or a piping bag, which I would prefer a piping bag, but I did not have one on hand, so I did just use a Ziploc bag and I put it in a tall glass jar to help me, which actually is very helpful even if you are using a piping bag. And when I was done, I just wiped the top of the bag up and used stray batter. When I was done pouring it in, I then mixed the baking soda with the remaining 1/4 of the batter, and you want to mix this really well so that the jalebi will rise. Then we're going to pour all of the batter into the bag. And now that all of the batter has come into the bag, we need to make sure that the baking soda mixes with the rest of the batter thoroughly, so you have to shake the bag very well. After that, heat some oil in a pan, and there should be enough oil to deep fry your jalebi in. You can use coconut oil, vegetable oil, or any other oil that you want. You can also use ghee if you like, which will give it a very different flavor. Now you need to put a few drops of batter into the pan. You have to make sure that these drops of batter immediately touch the bottom and rise up. This is really important to make sure that your oil is not too hot. Next, pipe the batter into circles using the Ziploc or piping bag and let it fry. At first, it's hard if you've never done this before, but it gets easier and you can get the hang of it really quickly. You know that your jalebis are done frying when they become really golden and really fluffy. Now, jalebis can easily become very soft, so what you want to do when you're frying them is leave them in just a little bit longer than you think that they should be in for to make sure that they are nice and crispy. Next, using a spiral ladle, put the jalebis in the sugar syrup which we made earlier, and you want to let them rest for a while so that they can completely soak up the syrup. Finally, repeat for all the remaining batter, and this will give you a good amount of jalebis. One thing to note is that when you put the jalebis into the sugar syrup, the spider ladle might get some of that syrup onto it, and so it may make some of the jalebis red in some spots if you're using the same ladle to fry the rest of the batches. So don't worry if your jalebis are a little bit differently colored, and that's just the reason for that. Thank you for watching. Please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you've tried this recipe, enjoy!